Breaking news. How secure is Russia now that the Wagner uprising has ended? The mutiny of the Wagner group was put down quickly, and its leader, Yevgeny Prigozhin, has been killed. However, the impact of recent events cannot be denied. How strong is Putin's hold on power? Is the Russian Federation, a nuclear power, about to collapse? The Wagner Group's thousands of mercenaries faced little resistance 2 months ago when they marched toward Moscow. The planned power struggle within the Kremlin never materialized because the next day their leader, Yevgeny Prigozhin, who died in a plane crash last week, called off the coup. A few hours of negotiations, followed by betrayal, from Russian President Vladimir Putin are words that will not soon be forgotten. Some have questioned Russia's steadiness ever since the failed uprising was put down. NATO's Riga-based Director of Strategic Communications, Janis Serts, considers the march on Moscow to have been a significant challenge to the Kremlin's authority. Martins Vargulis, the institute's deputy director, shares this view. According to him, Putin's authority is being threatened from within Russia. Nighttime city street with a tank in front of a tall building. There are a lot of people on both sides of the street, and some of them have their phones out and are filming. Meanwhile, the ruble's value has declined in relation to the dollar and the euro, contributing to rising inflation in Russia. Russia is the world's third largest oil producer, but the pro-government propaganda paper Izvestia in Moscow has complained about the long wait times at gas stations outside of the capital. Russia's aggressive war against Ukraine is also losing steam. Ukraine has been the primary source of news regarding minor territorial gains in recent weeks. Is Putin's hold on power slipping? For the time being, this is not likely, according to Stefan Meister of the German Council on Foreign Relations, DGAP. He tells DW that despite repression and propaganda, Putin's regime has won over a sizable portion of the population and is able to partially evade Western sanctions. There are still plenty of businesses operating in Russia, including some that are based in the West. Meister has noticed a decline in the standard of living in Russia. However, he maintains that the country is not in disarray and that Putin is not showing signs of weakness. If Putin were to be challenged, he says, it would come from within the security establishment itself. The Russia expert, however, is confident that Putin is firmly in the saddle and can continue his war against Ukraine for another 2 or 3 years. How tight is Vladimir Putin's current iron grip on power? Tobias Fella, a researcher at the IFSH who also agrees that Russia is not facing significant instability at the moment, works for the Institute for Peace Research and Security Policy. However, he warns, the Kremlin could run into trouble if the government has to mobilize more troops than expected or if the economy takes a sharp downturn. According to Fella, Russia has shown itself to be militarily adaptive in response to Ukraine's recent territorial gains on the front. Is there anyone who could possibly take on Putin? Some Western analysts have hypothesized that the Kremlin is spreading the story that Russia is on the verge of collapse. The idea is that the West might be willing to accept Ukraine giving up territory if it were threatened with Russian nuclear missiles going AWOL, so this scenario would weaken the West's support for Ukraine.